Hello, welcome to May 16th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This exercise is something that I do every morning, a little bit after waking up. It's now 4:37 a.m. I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles, the ones that are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the challenges and opportunities that I met. And I plan also for the coming day and forecast what challenges and opportunities I might meet and think about how I will deal with them. Let's begin. First, last night and yesterday. Slept good last night. I'm still struggling with a CPAP mask. Did it for maybe 40 minutes before I went to sleep and just kind of in a twilight. Still can't get to sleep with it. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and then tried it again. Didn't work either. But I don't feel unduly tired. I feel pretty good, actually. So I think I got enough rest. Yesterday was a good, solid day of work. Nothing spectacular happened other than a ghost-like meeting. Well, it really wasn't a ghost, of course. It was a human being. But the way we met felt like a ghost story at the beach yesterday. She was a delightful young woman. Such a smile. Anyway, I'll leave the information in the description if you want to read about it. Other than that, it was just a normal day, but really good day in the evening. Oh, I had a nice time playing guitar after I got back from the beach, and then we had a nice dinner together with my wife. I had a nice dinner together with my wife, and then we watched our show, and then I went to bed. It's a good day. All right, let's do the good life. My 7 objectives, these are the things that I'm striving towards in life, are, first of all, to be always ready to die, to have my world affairs, my relationships, and my life's work in order. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time, to live my days to productive and useful and virtuous, underline that word, ends. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That is these 7 objectives and 34 principles that I'm talking about now. And I do that mainly through this effort in the morning of recounting the Good Life Creed, making small, improving tinkers. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become a person who can react well to challenging events. Didn't really have anything challenging happen yesterday, but I think for the most part I'm usually mostly ready. Even when I'm off my game, if I have too big a lunch and it kind of sets me back, I'm usually still pretty well able to handle challenging circumstances these days. Number 5 is to perform good actions, just to do little, medium, and large-sized deeds throughout the day. Number 6 is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities so that I'm applying myself where my efforts can have some impact. Sure, some things can be beyond my reach, but I could have a residual echoing impact upon them. That's true. Like the impact that I hope that this effort and my books will have after I'm dead. That's well beyond the scope of my influence. So, but the immediate influence are the things that I mostly attend to. And then number 7, the last objective, is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully, almost with a cadence. All right, those were my objectives. Now, the 34 principles are the tools that I use to help me to achieve those objectives, or at least to move in the direction of the objectives. Number 1 is the principle of war, which is my reminder to be ever ready to challenge settled belief and proposed belief. I don't want to believe things easily or for bad reasons. Number 2 is the principle of reason, which is the tool that I use to help me with the aforementioned war. And there are 4 sub-principles of reason: honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. I want to be honest with myself and others, of course. Objective, looking at things in a realistic, as much encompassing view as I can. Skeptical. I want to doubt, question, be critically interested. And then humiliation, being eager and willing to accept the humiliation of having my beliefs uncovered as wrong. welcome that. Next, this is number 3, is the homunculus. No, the homunculus. The homunculus is my reminder that though I don't have a soul, I do have a consciousness, and it's right in here. I called it the homunculus to kind of give it an impersonate. Is that right? Anthropomorphize it. If I anthropomorphizing, if it's a real human being, I don't think so. Personify it, I guess. Like imagine it as a little person. The reason I want to do that is I want to remember that it's trapped, which is the very next principle, the anchor hold. The anchor hold suggests that there's no way out for my consciousness, that as I suffer and die, it's going to suffer and die along with me. It also gets to enjoy the happy days as well. Next is the principle of purpose. I have 3 purpose in my life. Number 1 is to be a virtuous man. Number 2 is to be a good husband and father. And number 3 is to promote my personal mission, which is the sharing of the story of going alone. And I just to talk about the objective of development and maintenance of good and sound life principles. That's number 3, the third objective. That's an example of it. Yesterday, I changed the order of the sub-principles there for purpose. I changed it from husband and father, virtuous man, to personal purpose, to virtuous man, husband and father, and then my own personal objective. And I did that because I wanted to be able to rank these in terms of hierarchy of importance. And number 1, the most important, is to be virtuous. Number 2 is to be a good husband and father. And number 3 is my own personal mission. Next comes the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces. All of it's falling to pieces, including us. And then the principle of nature, a reminder to look after the nature of things, be cognizant of the way things are, so that I can expect nothing more than what things are and how they should be, how they behave in their environment, including people. Okay, after the principle of nature comes the pirate ride. I don't think we're free. I don't think free will is a thing. I think we are too deeply connected with the universe at large, which jostles us around like a leaf flowing down a stream. Then comes the principle of maturity. Maturity consists of 3 things: wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. Wisdom is the remembrance of our past successes and failures, the knowledge of those things. Fortitude is our ability to avoid such mistakes again in the future and to improve upon our successes. And then integrity is the yield, the gain that comes of having lived a life where our efforts are in alignment with our values. That is the result of a mature life. Next comes the social principle. We are social creatures and we need one another, and our best ends are social ends. The sub-principles here are diplomacy, working together; justice, the ends that we seek; conspiracy, linking arms to make the agreements gained through diplomacy in the direction of justice real. That's it. Next comes the principle of family. A strong recommendation towards the establishment of your own family. It can be the type that you put a ring on, or it can be the type that's founded upon the exchange of rings, or it can be the type that is simply a collection of friends, whichever. Oh, I hurt my leg yesterday in the sea. all these little bits and aches. Okay, after family comes public speaking. This principle is all about communication, being able to listen and communicate well, and also to develop a rich internal world to use as the stew from which our servings of life are dished out. How corny is that? The sub-principles here are best words, to develop a deep and rich vocabulary that we can then use cautiously to better communicate our ideas. Literature, recommendation towards the reading of very good literature, reading deeply, so that we can have a deep foundation in the best ideas. Eloquence, the study and practice of eloquent speaking. I should add some principle there for listening. Ow, my foot hurts. I should add that. And then comes prudence, the ability to, it's very difficult to do, to filter our communication through our values so that what we say is in alignment with what we believe or what we're striving towards. And then felicity, the ability to season our communication with our emotions so that it has some interest and flavor. And then there's two negatives, rumor and gossip. Strong recommendation to avoid doing either of those. Okay, after that comes temperance, which is our ability to control our consumption of all things in life, just to be able to say no. Life will not go well is the next principle. Life will not go well, and it won't. It's going to have hard parts, like my injured foot, all these things. The horror show, a further reminder that things sometimes just don't go well. They go horribly awful, like incredible. And so that's happening all around us to people. And if it isn't happening now to us, it's coming for us, and pretty soon. And then comes the principle called that which must be borne, B-O-R-N-E, carried. And what we have to bear is the fact that life won't go well, and the fact of the horror show. And then comes the principle called the Feast of Offal, which is the strong recommendation to control our emotions, to not give our upset into the world, especially not in a public manner, especially not among our loved ones, or anybody for that matter, to soil them with our upset. Contain it instead. Find other ways. Then comes the principle of distraction. And there's two here. There's distraction and agency in the great indifference. Agency in the great indifference is simply the principle that suggests that God does not exist. God is a fiction that we create to settle our worries and concerns and doubts and to deal with our fear of death. Distraction is what we do. Maybe I should change the order of those. Distraction is what we do to not see that, to see that that's not true. We keep ourselves distracted with all the things of our lives, our school and our work and our play and our hobbies and our politics and our religion and our God. It all keeps us busy so we don't have to witness the emptiness that seems to pervade the universe. Then comes the best seat in the house, striving to be all right with who I am and where I am and what I'm doing, right here, right now, right who I am. Then comes the 3 or 4 for the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, and the risk of avoiding risk. It's a 4 for. The restless man is this restlessness that we sometimes feel in youth and young adulthood. If we don't do something about it, it tends to haunt us all of our lives. The path of wildness is the juncture when we decide to do something about that restlessness and have an experience in life to satisfy that. We step then upon the path of wildness, which is easy to find because it's the course of a stream, leaves blown in the wind, a beast's track through the brush, and the direction of our first inclination. The great life adventure is what we get by virtue of having stepped upon the path of wildness and continuing that pursuit. It is the story that we gain that becomes our story. It's a very worthwhile thing to have. The risk of avoiding risk, number 4, speaks to the danger of going too far one way or the other, too far towards security or too far towards risk, and we can wind up either safe but unsettled and seemingly not satisfied, because we never engage the restlessness, or overly adventure-filled and having no deep foundation story other than the high points that we lived in succession. It's good to try to find a balance between. Next comes sin and damnation. There are 8 sins in my worldview, mostly related to poorly founded belief. The first one is, the first sin is falsity, just being untrue, a liar. Number 2, and this is the beginning of the 6 that relate to belief or being untrue. Number 2 is false credulity, being too willing to believe. Credulity is that characteristic. 3 is faith, which is just a nonsense thing to found belief upon belief. So we say that the fact that we believe is the evidence for the belief, which is utter nonsense. Faith, I don't know how faith became a virtue. It's not. It's a bloody sin. Superstition, another category of nonsense. Dogma, belief founded upon tradition or a great canonical text, or being impressed by an institution. Authority, further reliance upon an institution, or in particular the charisma or the character or the teachings of an individual. And then the last 2 are related to behavior, and that is spreading rumors and engaging in gossip. We see those again, right? So engaging in any of these 8 sins, and we get to experience damnation in the here and now. But just as long as we're alive. Okay, number whatever. The next one is, sin is complete oblivion. Since we have no soul and there is no God and there is no heaven or hell, that means that when we die, that's the end of us. Gone forever. There'll be no final reunion with our loved ones, no final reconciliation of differences, and no final justice, because none of that stuff really exists. So if we want any of those, we better seek after them now. Next comes the best seat in the house. No. The season of philosophy. It's a simple reminder that to take time to keep a pen and paper handy. What was that? What was you? My seeming ghost encounter at the beach yesterday has me spooked. It wasn't a ghost. I'm just running with that idea. Okay, the season of philosophy, keeping something writing handy for writing or record. Excuse me. Writing, recording, or painting our ideas, whatever you want to do, your creative medium to capture your thoughts. Keep that handy as soon as the words start to come in life. And now we're near the end. After that comes the script writing, which is the tool that I use to plan out the minutes, hours, and days ahead, even weeks. Planning out how I'm going to live. Like writing a script for myself. And then comes the bullseye aim. That's another principle. Those 2 go together. Script writing says I'm going to write out how my day is going to go. Bullseye aim is my reminder that I probably won't hit the mark very often. It'll mostly miss, but at least it gets me in the general direction and aiming for the board at least. Next comes the uphill climb. A simple admonishment to keep climbing. To get higher and higher in life. Towards nowhere in particular, but improving the view along the way. Then comes arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development of principles that will help us to achieve the objectives we choose for ourselves. Then comes nothing is enough. And it really is. A gentle reminder towards less. And then lastly, the principle of fun. A simple reminder to have fun today. Enjoy the remembrance of yesterday and have fun planning for tomorrow. I did it. Made it through the Good Life Creed again. All that remains now is to think about the day to come. Got an average day. I've got things to do, meetings to attend, deliverables to meet, etc., etc. And I'm ready. I got ready yesterday for today. So I'll just execute this day. I'll sit at my desk when I first fire up a little later and plan it all out. I don't anticipate being ambushed by anything, although I will need to get coffee in the evening. Coffee grounds. And the only reason I say that is that going to the supermarket that entails is an opportunity to be ambushed, because things happen in motion. Let's call it quits for today. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done, if not finished. See ya.